I went from refunding a client 2,500 to making 25.5K in the same month. And I spent $1,000 in ad spend to make 75K back. That's a 75 times return on ad spend, which is absolutely insane. My name is Josh Navarro. I'm the founder of Nova Marketing. I was a full-time missionary before, got married, and we started a family. I was like, man, like, God, what am I supposed to do to provide for my family? God spoke to me through the story of Moses. Use what's in your hand. I've always had a camera in my hand since high school. Started meeting with business owners. And so I started creating these content retainer packages for them, creating amazing videos, getting tons of views, but it didn't actually equate to ROI for their business. Started seeing Luis's content on learning how to run paid ads. This makes so much sense. But it wasn't until I learned how to run paid ads with Luis's program and implemented it inside of those businesses where I was like, video that we ran ads on turned into like real revenue. Now I was able to show them if this ad and this content model actually turns into real revenue. Learning the skill of paid acquisition is such a game changer. Kind of like teaching a man to fish. And once they know the skill set of fishing, it's like, man, I can always just go and get more money. Hey, my name is Josh Navarro. I'm the founder of Nova Marketing. So I went from refunding a client 2,500 to making 25.5K in the same month. And I spent $1,000 in ad spend to make 75K back. That's a 75 times return on ad spend, which is absolutely insane. Um,
That's incredible. It's basically saying like you gave the machine $1 and you
yeah.
got $70 out. That's insane. Let me just break this down for everybody. So when Joshua says that he started doing 25K, it's 25K a month, so not 25K in just project per project.
Mhm.
It's we're selling retainers here. And so essentially Joshua is selling 3-month contracts, so it's about 70K in contracted revenue,
Mhm.
which about 25K collected. So, dude, freaking phenomenal. Like, thanks so much for jumping on and taking the time to do this. It obviously means a lot to me. I know a lot of people that are going to be watching are going to get a ton of value out of this. So I really appreciate you. How does it feel to be on the other side to just be like, oh man, I made it? You know?
Yeah,
Officially.
honestly, I feel like I kind of just graduated the program, but there's new problems to solve, but they're better problems to solve. I'm super grateful to kind of just be here and know that like, my family's taken care of in the sense
Oh
of
yeah.
like, I moved to a completely new city. I moved from Texas to California and specifically Orange County. And it's not the cheapest place to be. It's a pretty expensive place to be. And really just stepped down in faith in running the business and investing in paid ads. But I really feel like learning the skill of paid acquisition is such a game changer. It's kind of like, teaching a man to fish. And once they know the skill set of fishing, it's like, man, I can always just go and get more money. It's like you
Dude.
go and get
Yeah.
gas. Like, man, I need some money. I'm going to invest in paid ads to reach people. And then just by serving the right people, I'm able to just solve a big problem for them. So by
Yeah, dude.
solving those problems, I'm able to get paid accordingly to how big of a problem I'm solving for someone.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
man, I love that. I love you mentioned that because I always tell people it's like, look, dude, once you learn the skill of paid advertising, you'll never go hungry. Because like you've learned how to spend money to make money. And then on top of that, if you can provide this service to someone else, AKA solving a bigger problem, as you were saying, well, then there will always be demand for your services, because it's the number one problem that exists in the marketplace, right?
Mhm.
So, dude, again, thanks so much for jumping on. Essentially, what we can do today, like, we're just gonna break down Josh's story, kind of talk about like what were some of his past experiences, what were some of the things that he struggled with, because he said, as you guys heard in the intro, he had to refund a client $2,500, which is not fun at all. So we'll dive into that story, kind of talk about what were some of the things that he did to kind of help him get to where he's at now. Hitting 25K monthly recurring revenue is a amazing milestone. He's about to hit 30K. He's got a few more project or prospects on the line. So maybe here in the next week, he'll already be at above 30, which would be amazing. But yeah, dude, let's break it down. So, all right. So basically, like you said, you were living in Texas. When you first joined FOD, it was back
Mhm.
in April 2025. We were about to have our actual like FOD event here in McAllen, Texas. And I think literally like a day before the event or like 2 days before the event, you like hit me up. You're like, hey, dude, can I come to this event? And I'm like, sure. And they're like, oh, well, I'll just sign up entirely. Or what was going on in that time for you? Like,
Yeah.
where
So
was that trigger?
yeah, I was watching Luis's content for a while. I think I really resonated with him as a coach, of him being a family guy, being a dad, and having two kids. And then I myself am a dad, and I have two kids. And then he's a great looking guy too. So like, I love that stuff. Uh, but I was keeping up with his content. I hopped on a call with him, and I really just vibed with him and resonated. And I was just waiting for the right time to pull the trigger. And so when he was having a collective happening like nearby, I was in Houston, he was in McAllen. So I was like, man, that would be a great time to hop in. And I was just saving up money to like invest in a coaching program, and I was just waiting for the right person that was like tons of alignment with. So I
For
felt
sure.
a lot of alignment with Luis, and when I saw he was doing the in-person collective, I was like, man, it's a good time. I saved up enough to like pull the trigger, just paid in full for the program, and then just got the full immersion experience. Really, like the in-person experience is so much fun. You're a bunch around of other like-minded people really going for the same thing, and even people like, doing like 20, 30, 50K a month. And it really just like instills so much faith in you, and it inspires you of like, man, if this guy can do it, I can do it too. And so everything Luis was teaching and doing, was like, it was just so fun to learn it in person. And it was just such a great experience.
Dude, that's great. Just to kind of comment on the one thing you said, where it's like when you're, this is what's so cool about being part of a community, and then when you get to like meet in person, it's like kind of multiplied too, and it's seeing other people that are just like you already doing well. Because there's some people that are going to be one step ahead of you, 10 steps ahead of you. Some people are behind you, right? That's what it's all about. But it's like rising tide raises all boats. But then it's
Mm.
also this whole thing of like, well, like you said, man, if he can do it, there's no reason why I can't do it too. And so a lot of it is like you get to borrow the beliefs of the other people that are in the community, because a lot of what success is when it comes to business is what's going on in here, right? So it's like having, like, believing that you can actually do it. Like, man, like, can I actually charge somebody $5,000 a month when like I've never done that before? I've only charged people maybe a one, like maybe you do charge them $5,000 a month, but it's like a one time thing, or it's like you charge way less than that, whatever it might be. But it's like, oh man, people are actually willing to do that. Or like, yeah, this guy's doing it. So if he's doing it, well, then I can do it too. And so you get to borrow those beliefs. And I think that's what's so powerful about being part of this community like that. So that was like amazing discernment from you to just kind of like really jump on that opportunity, because I think that really like helped you just really lock things in. Tell the audience a little bit about what you were doing prior to you joining the program.
Yeah, so before me joining the program, I was working as a videographer, kind of like editor inside of different businesses. So a little bit of my story was like, I was a full-time missionary before. So I
Oh
was
wow, I didn't know
traveling.
that.
Yeah, yeah. So after I graduated college, I went into like missions because I love Jesus, and just like went all in on faith. And I
Mhm.
was just like fundraising, and like that was supporting me in doing that. And so after I went into missions, I met my wife, got married, and moved to Texas, and we started a family. And we were pregnant with our first child, a daughter, and I was like, man, like God, what am I supposed to do to provide for my family? And all I did was like missions before after graduating college. And I felt like God spoke to me too through the story of Moses in the Bible, where he spoke to Moses saying, use what's in your hand. And I was like, okay, what's in my hand? I've always had a camera in my hand since high school. And so it was post COVID, and I started meeting with business owners, and they were like, man, we know we need to show up online, but we don't know how. And as a younger person, this is like our second language. We know how to
Yeah,
show up online, do
for
content.
sure.
And I was like, okay, how can I serve you with the camera that's in my hand? And so I started creating these content retainer packages for them, and like, creating amazing videos, getting tons of views, but it didn't actually equate to ROI for their business. And I knew that like I wanted to serve my clients at a higher and a better level, and to provide more value. And then I started seeing Luis's content on learning how to run paid ads. And so just by I started seeing his stuff and I was like, okay, this makes so much sense. And that kind of led me into pulling the trigger for that. So I was just working as an employee or a contractor with different businesses doing content. But it wasn't until I learned how to run paid ads with Luis's program and implemented it inside of those businesses where I was like, oh wow, hey, look, this video that we ran ads on turned into like real revenue for your business. And so
Mhm.
now I was able to show them of like, hey, this ad and this content model, like actually turns into real revenue for your business. And so
Mhm.
from there, like I felt like, yeah, I was working inside of different businesses, got to work with a law firm and kind of implement what I learned in Luis's program in that law firm and like just saw it like blow up in the best way. And
Mhm.
from that time, like we felt like we were supposed to move back to California. So moved back to California in July. And then I launched my agency officially that very next month, running what I was taught inside of Luis's programs, all the principles, all the playbooks, and then just started running paid ads and then started picking up clients from there. And yeah, so yeah, it was
So let
amazing.
me pause you there because you kind of just like breeze through that like no
Yeah.
big deal. I just want to
Yeah.
highlight it. Like, dude, like to me, this is so like just an amazing story as well because a lot of videographers sometimes like they feel stuck in their geographical area because they're too afraid to go elsewhere because they're like, oh man, like all the work is here or like all my contacts are here, all my all the people that I've been networking and stuff. And if I move to another city, I have to kind of like start over again. I have to go to more networking events. I have to, talk to more people, all this different stuff, right? Whereas like you, like went out in faith, right? Like you moved to Orange County and you're just like, and then I think I remember us having this conversation. I was like, dude, just run ads.
Mhm, mhm,
And so brand new company, right? Like,
mhm.
you're new there. You had no, like not much contacts or anything, start running ads, and then literally within the first 30 days, like I think you brought on like 3 clients, right? I think you hit
Mhm.
like 10K or something like that, or close to 10K.
Yeah, close to
Yeah,
10K.
yeah, dude. Well, I mean, in what world does that happen? you
Yeah.
know?
It's crazy. I mean, ultimately, it comes down to mindset, faith, and belief systems. And I think like being in the collective and seeing other people do it really stirred up like my faith of like, hey, if these guys can do it, I can do it too. And
Mhm.
then knowing that someone's in your corner, like a coach like Luis, I was like, man, I can like lean into his expertise, someone who's gone ahead. And
Mhm.
getting that time collapse of like, hey, someone has like years and years of like marketing experience. I can take the best of what they know and apply it in my business. And
For sure.
so, yeah, really like getting that wisdom from like coaches, consultants, and like people in the group and leveraging that to be able to like, hey, I have faith to go and do this because they've already gone ahead and done this.
For sure. Well, so like a lot of people that I work with, I always tell them like, hey man, like everybody in the program has like never run ads before, you know?
Mhm.
So like, how did you feel when you were first gonna like hit publish on that ad, and like what was going through your mind? Like, I don't know, did you have like any reservations around doing that?
Yeah, I'm kind of like a one talent pony kind of guy where I'm like, I'm just gonna do the thing and see what happens, you know. So I'm just like stepping out. Yeah, it was definitely a little bit nerve wracking in the sense of like, this is the point where like the rubber's hitting the road.
Yeah.
Learning this stuff is like pretty dense, and like actually implementing it and taking action is the best thing you can do because like it's in the doing that you learn. And
Hell
a
yeah.
lot of times, like, if you're an overthinker, like you can get caught in analysis paralysis and you just get caught up in consumption and learning the stuff. But it
Mhm.
wasn't until I took action and kind of just started doing the thing. And it was like, I always say, like, imperfect action is always going to be perfect in action. And
Hell yeah.
so, like, just following Luis's, like, plays, I was like, hey, what should I do? And he's like, just run ads, just do the thing. And I was like, all right, I don't fully understand, but I'm going to trust that and I'm just going to do it. And
Yeah.
so once I did it, I was able to get feedback and like see what's working, what's not working. And it's just V1, So it's I can always
Mhm.
improve and reiterate. And so
Yeah.
really taking that step of faith of just taking action, like moved to a new city, started running paid ads, putting my content out there. And then, my first batch of content, it wasn't the best. Like, I'm pretty awkward on the camera, but then like as I got the reps in and kept doing the thing, it got better and better. And so, yeah, I think just doing the thing, taking action, and improving as you go really helps develop that skill set and that muscle.
Yeah, dude. If for everybody listening, if you take one thing out of this call, it's that. Okay, it's really just about taking action, and I mean, I've lived my whole life like this as well. I think we're very similar in that sense, right? Like where it's just like, dude, I'm just gonna do it. It's like screw it, It's like, and really, like it serves us so well because, like, even if you fail, you will learn faster and get to the end result with like the desired result a lot faster, right? And that's really like that mindset, that like you kind of need to adopt if you really want to get anywhere. I mean, and it's not just in business. I mean, it's in life, period, right? Like, if you want to ask out someone, like, you got to just take the risk and just do it, not overthink it, like, or whatever it is, applying for that job, asking out that girl or guy, like, whatever it might be. Like in business, you got to just like run the ads and step out in faith, and it's, I always tell people, dude, if you're a creative, you're meant to be an entrepreneur, like, because I feel like all entrepreneurship is taking something that's in your mind and bringing it into existence, right? And that's what being creative is. Like, you have an idea, and then you like paint something, you create something, right? And so it's like we're creating businesses, and it takes creative people to do that. And so like I think like having those gifts, just kind of allows you to do so. So it's really just kind of like stepping out in faith and knowing like, yeah, you were meant to be a business owner. You were meant to be an entrepreneur, right? You were meant to create. And so I don't know, to me that like impacted me, and that really, like, that thinking really served me. So it's just something I wanted to mention. But okay, dude, awesome stuff so far. Were you considering other programs before joining FOD? Have you done other programs? Like, what were some of your experiences with that?
Yeah, I've looked at other programs before, but I think I
Mm-hmm.
just really resonated with Luis because, like, I'm a dad and like I have two kids. And then one of the things that happens when you become a dad is like your priorities get shifted of like the time when your family is the most important treasure you really have. And so the way Luis communicated about like stewarding your time and creating and building systems that gets you your time back so you can be with
Mm-hmm.
your family more just resonated with me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm building this business not just to make money, but I'm building this business so I can spend more time with my family. And like, I'm so grateful to have the freedom to just work wherever. Like the other day, I was just working at the beach with my kids and like I would go surf, you know? And so I'm super grateful for the freedom that this business brings.
Yeah.
And I still like do my best to like serve my clients at the highest, best level. But the fact that I can just like take a break, spend some time with my kids and then get back at it is like
Mm-hmm.
so invaluable.
Dude, to me, the biggest treasure is being able to wake up and not be rushed to leave to work,
Yeah.
and like enjoy my mornings with my kids. And it's simple of just like being able to wake them up in the morning, make and have breakfast with them, is the world, dude. Like, you know what I mean? So like my slow mornings is literally the goal, and just being able to like be with my family and like that's it, and not be stressing out about like, oh, I need to go and like prep for a shoot, and or and sure, there are some days where like that, you do need to do that, right? That's part of the business. But being able to actually have like that, a really good balance of that, where it's like you have the efficiency in the business so that it's really profitable. You can build systems around it. And then right now, like you're in that process, right? Like you're solving the next problem in the business, which is like building a team, getting systems in place and stuff like that. But even in itself, like you're already at close to 30K, and it's like you still have a lot of that time efficiency in your life, where it's like most people they'd be at 30K and they're just like back to back to back to back to back, and it's just like not enjoyable at all. And so the big thing that I always tell people, it's like, look, man, like making money is one thing, how you're making it is another, right? Because you could be at 20, 30K. Some people are at 10K. They're extremely burned out, where it's like, and I just made a YouTube video around this, where it's like, it's just the model is broken because it is too time and labor intensive if you're just doing production work, right?
Mhm.
So the really cool thing about providing ads as a service is that you can do that work from a laptop and you get paid monthly for it. It's just like really, really cool. Um, were you nervous at all joining the program? Like, were you like, oh man, like what if this doesn't work? Like what was going through your mind when you like decided to finally pull the trigger?
Yeah, I mean, I think I just knew that it would work. There was so much logic in it, and like Luis was doing it, and I was seeing so many other people doing it. So I'm like, hey, if it works for them, like it'll work for me. And
Hmm.
I did do the whole corporate America thing in Houston, where I
Yeah.
would travel an hour each way into the city, spend like 8 hours, and then spend an hour back. So I was gone like 10, 12 hours a day while my wife was home with the kids, and like I just felt bad because like man, I want to help with the kids, but I'm just like sitting in corporate America, kind of just wasting my time because I could finish my work very efficiently, but I still leverage kind of that position to be able to like save up to like pull the trigger on the program. And
Hmm.
then like I just knew that like I can provide more value and be with my family.
Yeah.
So not saying that corporate America is bad. I think you can use it for a season to build the dream
Yeah.
life that you're dreaming for you and your family. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think you gained a lot of experience. You obviously were able to save up money, and then it's like when the time was right, it's like, okay, you pull the trigger on it, So that was really, really cool. Okay, so you move to a new city, start running some ads. I think at that time you were just doing like, as far as niche goes, you were just kind of doing like general, like seeing what would come in, right? What
Hmm.
was kind of that experience? I mean, so you were obviously able to get a return, which was great. But I think
Hmm.
what tell us what type of businesses you were working with, and then what some of that experience was like.
Yeah, I mean, I think our jobs as entrepreneurs, we're just solving problems for people. And
Mm-hmm.
so the problems that we were solving is lead generation and client acquisition. And so I started off with local service based businesses niche in Orange County, and I was able to pick up a couple of clients. And it was just, you get paid according to the problem that you solve. And um, we're solving the problem of lead acquisition or paid leads and paid acquisition. But eventually, I felt like niching down was the answer. So I was seeing, I was kind of getting close to 10K, but then I was seeing other guys in the group hitting 25K. And I was like, man, what are they doing that's different than I'm doing? And so I talked to one of the guys in the program, and he said, like, hey, I actually niched down to medical because, honestly, they just have their their patient acquisition. They're just paying more for. And I was like, okay, that makes so much sense. And I just saw him doing it, and I just tried it out. I just shot some ads running for medical practices, and
Yeah.
just did it for fun, and then launched it. Spent $1,000 on ads, and then like made about 75K in contracted revenue. And I was like, this is insane. This niche is like so profitable. So I think it came down to like solving bigger problems. And just
Yeah.
I know medical practices, they're solving more needs for people
Hmm.
of like just big life things.
Yeah.
So service businesses are great, but I think a lot of it is like, there's a phrase, the riches are in the niches, and just
Hmm.
finding that right niche that fits for you. Um,
For sure. So I'll break that down a little bit, like just as far as like insights that I have in regards to some of these niches and stuff. Like I think when you are gonna, I always tell people it's like you're looking for three things when you're working with when you're trying to like niche down. One is like, well, you obviously want to like ideally you enjoy working with the people that you're going to be working with, right, or the niche that you want to be in. Number two is do they make money, and number three, can you make money for them, right? And so I would say number one is like a nice to have, right? Like I mean, I feel like if you can land it in all three, well then amazing. But I think the two that you need to optimize for is going to be do they make money and how much money can you make them, right? And so I think when you first started like working with some of these people, I think you worked with like a personal trainer. I think it was like a junk removal business, and then it was like a art what was it like impromptu acting classes or something like that, like an acting academy or something. Um, and so like these are like okay, but the problem that with these businesses had is that they don't really make that much money. So their average sale value isn't really that high, right? Like, so what does that mean? That means that if you're going to provide services for them, you need to really bring in a ton of clientele in order for them just to break even, dude. Because if you're like, I think at that time you were charging like 2,500 a month, right?
Mhm.
And then plus ad spend, so it's like you really like they need to really also have their whole business together to really ensure that they can get a return off that. The reality is that it's going to be a little bit difficult, And so that's why it's like typically it's like you want to go after businesses that are already doing well. So it's like they're charging higher ticket services, right? So in medical, that tends to be the majority of the case. So that's already like a huge check mark there. And then number two, it's like, well, can you make them money? And so that's where the return on investment question comes in, right? It's like if they're selling 5K packages, well, you only need to get them one client in order for them to break even. Everything else on top of that is profit. Whereas with these other companies, maybe they need to get 30 clients before they break even. So that would be really difficult for them. So that's typically how we're thinking about like niching down. Um, Also, I want to say that like Josh's results, I want to just set expectations here. Josh's results, like Josh is definitely an outlier. Like I think God has just like really blessed him for his years of like loyalty, or I don't know what it is, but like, dude, you have so much grace and favor. Like it's just insane because these results are atypical, you know, like, but if I were to break it down and kind of reverse engineer, like I think something that Josh did really, really well. If you go look at his Instagram account, because do you have a website, Josh? First of all,
I don't have a website, but I do need
he
to.
doesn't have a website, people.
I don't have a website. I might have a friend build one just in case, but I don't.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that like, oh, you made $70,000 and you don't have a website. Whereas like a lot of people are like, oh, I need to have a logo, I need to have a business card, I need to have a website before I ever start doing anything. No, dude, like your Instagram is your website. And if you just start running ads, like you'll start getting business because we don't do business with other businesses. We do business with other people, right? And so if I can get somebody to know, like, and trust me, then we can start doing business together. And so I love that you just went all in. You took action. You had a fire under your butt to do so, right? You just moved in. Like that was like a big motivator. Um, as far as things that I think Josh did really, really well, dude, your content was like on fire. Like, and I think that it was a really big deal that you took the time to create those pieces of content for your Instagram to build trust. And just to kind of break this down, like we live in a society where trust is at an all-time low. Like nobody trusts the government, nobody trusts crypto, like financial institutions, right? Like there's obviously been a ton of like people selling you like what the dream, and there's obviously a lot of scams and stuff out there. So it's like also when it comes to doing this service for businesses, there's been a ton of other agencies, SMMAs, whatever you want to call them, that promise people, hey, I'm going to get you a 10x ROI. I'm going to make you $1 million in 30 days. Otherwise, I'll give you your money back. Like those promises have been, I guess, overblown out of proportion in the marketplace, where I feel like people are just sick and done with that stuff. Where at the end of the day, people want to work with somebody that they can trust and that they know is going to have their back, you know? And so I think what Josh did really well is that he made some really good content so that when he ran ads, people are going to creep on you. Like they're going to check you out. They're going to see, like, they're going to try to vet you to see if you're the real deal or not. And when people would go to Josh's account, I think your content was really, really good, where it's like, oh yeah, this guy seems legit. Like this guy seems like he knows what he's talking about. Now, Josh, a lot of people think that in order for them to get clients, oh, and mind you, you also raised your prices. So you started, I think the minimum package was like 35, right?
Yeah.
So you had a 35, a 45, and a 5, right? Your first 3 that came in? Yeah. Those are 3,500 a month, 4,500 a month, and 5K a month, right? So you didn't have any case studies in these industries. Like a lot of people think like, oh, I need to get a case study before I start closing deals. I'm like, dude, you had 0 case studies and you were closing $15,000 deals, right? It's like the only way that happens is if people trust you enough to be willing to give you that money, Exactly. And so, dude, I mean, like, so I think your content was on point. Then you just made the ads that we recommend, like that the rest of their group does. And then that drove traffic. And then how did you handle like when leads were coming in, right? Tell me a little bit about your sales process.
Yeah, so main thing is like knowing, liking, and trusting. I really built my Instagram so that like, hey, one, I'm showing my position as the expert and authority in the space, but also like I bring a little bit of my personal life into it so that people want to work with people they like actually enjoy working with. And so I like talk about my faith, and I even talk about like who I am, and as a dad of 2, like, man, like there's a lot of people out there on the internet just like scamming people. And so people want to work with someone who's real. And so I think one of the things that I really lean into was that like I'm local, And so whenever a lead would come in, I would call them and tell them like, "Hey, I'd love to buy you a coffee, and let's just talk over coffee and chat." And
Yeah.
so I would call them and be like, and offer a coffee and bring them a coffee, and we just hang out. And then so I go over my like presentation and really like help them understand the logic behind knowing your numbers. At the end of the day, as a business owner, it's all about the
Absolutely.
numbers. Like, does this
Yeah.
make sense? Of like, just is this going to produce an ROI for your business? You know, and so even with understanding the niche of like, for example, like I work with a plastic surgeon, and one surgery can cost like 30K. And so like I would communicate like, hey, if I could just get you one plastic surgeon, it's going to pay for everything and more. And then on top of that, you're going to build your brand, and you're going to have like a lead acquisition machine inside of your business. So I think like building relationship and trust is so key. We're literally in a trust recession. And so like, yeah, communicating that through your content and just doing different things to like help show that like, like Louis said, like people want someone that's in their corner. And I tell them like, hey, I'm going to treat your business like it's mine. And also with not having a case study, I tell them like, I am the case study. And
Yeah.
I'm sitting here in front of you today because this stuff works. I use paid ads to reach you. And now we're having a meeting and, about to have a potential deal because like I ran ads. And so I don't prescribe you something that I don't do myself. And so like
Yeah.
I have so much conviction that this stuff works because I'm doing it. And so
Yeah.
like they can feel that conviction and belief system coming from me. And
Yeah.
so when I meet them in person, they're like, okay, yeah, this is great. Let's do it.
Yeah. Dude, I love that. I love your energy around it. And like, just to kind of lean into this, like, sales is all about energy, right? And it's like, it's really about just having that conviction, like Josh said. And so if you can transfer that energy, right, that conviction, then people want, like, it's contagious, dude. People want to work with people that believe in what they do, you know?
Mhm.
And so I always tell people, like, dude, man, like, I'm not a great salesperson. Like, I don't think you classify yourself as a great salesperson either, right? Like, we're not doing all these crazy psychological sales tactics or anything like that. But why we can get by is because I believe in what I do and I'm passionate about it, you know? And that then comes off and people want to work with people like that, you know?
Mhm.
And so it's really just a matter of like believing that you can help them. And I always tell this to, the people in the group. It's like, dude, you have no idea how much the whole concept of like, hey man, I'm in your corner. I'm going to treat your
Mhm.
business as if it's my own. Because like most business owners, they work with employees that are just there to get a paycheck every single day. And frankly, they could really care less if the business owner does well or not. Like they're always like mediocre or like not really trying their best, right? So like when you can come in there and just be like, dude, I'm going to give this my all, because your success is my success, like that really moves people because as a business owner, finding good people to be part of their team is one of the most difficult things that can be done. It's very hard to do. And sometimes a lot of these people like are not even that good. And so it really goes a long way. So I would definitely lean into that. If if you guys are listening, just kind of like Josh has done. So dude, and then like the whole thing about like, hey, let me buy you a coffee, let's meet up. Like again, it just shows that like I'm a real person. I'm right here, like I'm not some business that is in a different state or, you're working with a group of Filipinos that are like, or like Indians that are like different part of the country. And if you have, mind you, we do use those people as part of our team, but like the owner is like here, you
Mhm.
know? So it's just like this idea of just like, oh yeah, like I have somebody in my corner. And if I ever need to see them, I can see them, And so, and the big thing about this, guys, like, and this is what we preach at FOD, it's like, dude, you don't need to have a ton of clients. Like you can have a handful of clients, let's say, 6 to 10 clients that are easy to fulfill on, that you just maintain and you maintain those relationships really, really well. And that's it, dude. During 25, 35K a month, like 60 to 70% of that is profit. I'm like, come on, like what else do you want? You know what I mean? Like, and it's like Josh said, like it's not about making the most amount of money in the world. It's about how you're making that money because well, we always talk about this, like your business is just a means to an end. And so what is that end? And so this is why I love working with people that are family oriented because it's like I think they have like their values in order, right? And so just being able to like, oh yeah, like I'm doing this because I want to provide for my family, not just provide, but I want to spend more time with them, you know, or I want to go do, you know, I want to travel with them. I want to work on more creative projects or whatever. Right. And so like, whatever that is for you, like, I think, you know, like, I think that's what FOD like provides, or at least this business model, you know? So that's super cool, dude. Um, so at this point, you started working with a few clients, right? Like, I think you have a dentist you're working with right now. How has that experience been? Like, you know, you started running ads for them. How's that looking?
Yeah, so we started running ads and basically just turned it on. Now they're getting like amazing cost per lead. And so we just launched their campaign. And yeah, I love my clients. I really enjoy working with the people I work with. And it's just so fun. So yeah, yeah, so we turn on their ads and now they're getting leads like consistently every single day. So it's only a matter of time that they're just going to start closing on them, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, no,
Hmm.
that's really good. That's for like a dental implant campaign, right?
Hmm. That's right. Yeah.
Solid. And I think you had mentioned like cost per lead was like $12 or something like that.
Yeah, $12 cost per lead. So spending $12 to get a $2,500 procedure done is like insane.
Dude. Yeah, 100%. That's
Yeah,
amazing. Yeah, it's only really a matter of time. They just got to make sure they follow up with those leads and then boom, start closing some deals, dude.
yeah,
Well, man, that's amazing, man. Like, I think, yeah, I don't like, I guess I don't know. I'm trying to figure out like, oh, what else should we talk about? Because I feel like, you know, we've kind of covered like the
yeah.
full story here. Um, yeah, I guess just like, I don't know if you have anything you want to like mention, or I don't know, any other insights where you're like, oh man, this was a game changer for me. Like this really helped me, or like something else maybe you struggled with that you kind of found a solution for.
Yeah, I really do feel like it's just like faith and belief systems. Matthew
Mhm.
9:29 says, according to your faith, let it be done unto you. And, you know, faith comes by hearing, and, you know, there's power in testimony. And
Yeah.
so just being in a collective of other people that's actually doing it, and like life and death is in the power of the tongue. And so you're going
Yeah.
to have like coaches, consultants that's like encouraging you, building you up, saying like, hey, this is possible. You need to just step out and do it. And
Yeah.
so getting that wise counsel, like there's a Bible verse that also says like, you know, plans succeed for there's many counselors. And so
Mhm.
whenever I have a problem or an issue in the business, I'm like, hey, like I bring it to the group, I bring it to Luis, and it's like, hey, what's the best way to handle this? And so I
Mhm.
would really glean from their wisdom that they've already gone ahead of me, and I would apply that and implement that. So instead of like making my own mistakes, I learn from other people's mistakes and then
Yeah.
use that to get way further ahead.
Such a game changer, dude. Like I always tell the story of like I was broke for a decade.
Yeah.
And you know, like so like from leaving my house at 18, and I didn't really start making like actual money for myself till I was like 28 or so. And when I look back, and I think it was 2015, and so when I really started to like finally things started to click for me, and it was simply because I started working with mentors. Like, you know, like I wish I could say like, oh yeah, it took me a decade, I figured it all myself and I started making all this money. Like no, dude, it was pretty much like 7 years of just spinning my wheels. You know, like, and then until I finally decided to like put my ego aside and like, you know, and actually like ask for help is really when things started clicking, you know. And so ever since then, it's just been like mentor to mentor to mentor, depending on the levels of stages, you know, that I was at in my business and like what I needed in that particular amount of time. So it's, and I'm also like driven by like competition too. And it's like, you know, in healthy competition where, and it's exactly what you said, right? It's like, man, if this guy can do it, it's like, I'm super happy for them, but I also know that I can have that too, you know?
Mhm.
And so that then like just would always like motivate me. And I think that's like a big part of being in community where it's like, oh yeah, like, you know, like it is possible, but but then like seeing them have that, it's like, okay, I want that too for myself. And then I know that that's possible, you know? And so that was really, really cool. Dude, thanks so much for sharing all of this. For anybody who is on the fence or thinking about FOD, you know, what are your thoughts? What'd you say?
Just do it. Take action. You know, just listen to what Luis says. He's been in the game for so long, and like he invests heavily into like mentorship and like just knowing the best in the marketing biz. He's like on the pulse of like what's going on. So take it, run with it, and like just take action. You know.
That's amazing, dude. Appreciate you
Mhm.
so much. Let's see. I'm trying to see if like there's something else maybe we can pull from.
Hmm. I think one of the things I struggled with when I first started out
Yeah.
was just feeling like there's a lot of competition in the market because you see a lot of like programs out there for like, targeting other videographers. And I think the one like thing that Luis told me was like, uh, at the end of the day, it comes down to like people knowing, liking, and trusting who you are. And there
Yeah.
really is like you are a niche of one, because I always say that you can only solve a problem the way that you do. And that, like, there's other marketers out there, but why are they going to choose one marketer versus the other? Is because they're going to trust you more. And so that's
Yeah.
why really leaning into building your organic content and your personal brand, because
Mhm.
like they would want to work with you rather than the other marketer down the road. And then I think the phrase "your vibe is going to attract your tribe." And so a lot of
Mhm.
times you're going to attract who you are. And
Yeah.
some people are going to resonate with me because I'm a Filipino, I'm a dad, I'm a family person. And so they would rather work with me, but then they're going to be gravitate towards another person because like of their values and their belief systems. And
100%.
so, yeah, there's no competition in the niche because like if you're truly aligned and authentic to who you are, I think that's really going to like, cut the competition because like, you're going to do marketing in a way that only you can do versus like me.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. Thanks for mentioning that. Like, I remember us having this conversation, like when you asked me, like, "Oh man, like, but how do I make my offer different or something like that?" And I've had other people ask me that too. And it's just like, it's not really about the offer because the offer at the end of the day ends up being the same for everybody. So the differentiator is you, like yourself, right? The
Mhm.
fact of who you are, what your values are, yeah, and so the reason why I love using video as a mechanism to run ads is that it's going to get people to know, like, and trust you. And there's going to be two types of people. There's going to be people that see it and think, "Oh, this guy is a loser." Like I don't want, like I never want to see his ads again. There's going to be other people that are going to be like, "Oh, this guy's super cool. I want to talk to him." And that's what you want. And because a lot of people are like really afraid to like put their content out, like what if people don't like it? I'm like, dude, that's exactly what you want because the people that don't like it are the people that would be your worst clients. So you would
Mhm.
never want them to begin with, right? And the people that are attracted to you, that have some affinity towards you, well, then those are gonna be your best clients because they just like you as a person, and you want that. And so, dude, that was so amazing. Thanks for mentioning that. I had already forgotten about it.
Mhm.
But I think that's such a like big game changer. And the other thing I always remind people of, I'm like, dude, you don't even need 1% of the market to hit your financial goals. And so I'll be like, oh, what if this market's so saturated, this niche is so saturated, whatever it is. I'm like, dude, you don't even need 1.001% of the market to hit 30K a month. Like you need 6 clients at 5K a month, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like you don't need 1,000 clients, right? And so this whole thing of like, oh, is it? I had another guy ask me like, oh, do you think the opportunity is already dead? Like, do you think it's already too saturated? I'm like, no, dude, I've been doing this for 15 years. Like, there's still plenty of opportunity because people will always need lead generation. Like, they will always need that. So there'll always be a market for it. Dude, this is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Was there any other struggles that you kind of had that you kind of like felt like you kind of had to like overcome and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think I just got new problems to solve now. Got to build a team, and uh,
Yeah.
it's just better problems to solve.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just super excited to be like just to learn the skill set and just to keep growing.
Yeah. Yeah. The day your business doesn't have any problems is the day you're not in operation anymore. Like, it's all businesses is solving problems. And it's just like you have good problems, you have bad problems. I think you have some really good problems to solve right now, but that's what keeps it fun. If you didn't have any problems, like you'd kind of just be like bored.
Yeah.
We need challenge in our lives, right? And so I think that's like amazing. And then it's also about like leveling up as an individual. You get to grow as an individual. And so I think that's why I love entrepreneurship so much a lot because it's like you're continuously self improvement, like.
Mhm.
So I think that's really cool. Well, Josh, thank you so much, man, for jumping on. Really appreciate you, dude. I know you're gonna keep crushing it. You're gonna hit getting some amazing goals. You're gonna continue to be blessed. Thanks so much for doing this and sharing your knowledge with the rest of the people here. And I'm excited to have you on once you hit your next milestone, dude. Let's go.
Awesome. Thank you, Luis.
Oh yeah, dude.